In the controversial world of UFOs and UAPs, a field often plagued by misidentification, hoaxes, and outright lies, there is a daily YouTube show and podcast that aims to separate fact from fiction and somehow manages to make sense of it all. The show is called Vetted, and we are about to meet the man behind it here on Things Visible and Invisible. Patrick, the last time we spoke, we had a very interesting conversation about Vetted, about how it's rapid growth in just 2 years, how the community that's developed, which is quite something. I've looked at many of the comments on your videos and very impressed with how people are really into Vetted. They've all got the T-shirt, I'm sure. Talk to me a little bit about what it's been like for 2 years working in that sphere. When you started this, as you said in the last video, you had an interest in this subject. Who hasn't? 2 years into it, where would you say your mind, your heart is on the whole UFO, UAP phenomena?
Oof, that's a tough one. We got 6 hours. No, I'm kidding. It's a journey day to day, to be honest with you. For me, someone like myself who's constantly looking into this and finding things that I don't even report on, right? So, the breadth of knowledge that I have doesn't even come out in all my videos, So there's 2 journeys happening. There's my personal journey, and then there's Vetted's journey that's happening. And personally, I would say, I kind of I struggle sometimes with like this is all BS and oh man, there's something here, and I kind of just go back and forth with that. And I think the more that I've learned myself, especially after filming this documentary, boots on the ground, out there in the field, hanging out with people who claim to have some really special abilities. I really just learned that the best thing to do is to just get out there and look at this yourself, because it's very easy to be, you know, disillusioned by maybe some of the, you know, this sort of disclosure push that we might call in America, especially through the government, right? That yeah, people are very disappointed all the time, and then just kind of want to just throw the whole UFO thing out the window because this particular quote disclosure isn't happening. And I've just realized that that's not the goal. The goal isn't disclosure; it's just evidence. Disclosure will come, right? If we find the evidence, disclosure will come. And I'd really just compare that to, my time in restaurants as well, being a chef, like, you know, just make good food and people will come. You don't need to worry about getting people in the door, just worry about making a good dish. And that's just really how I think about this. Just, focus on what you find compelling and, just kind of stay there. Because it's very easy to be distracted and maybe get, yeah, disappointed sometimes.
In your researches in the last 2 years, and you, as you've said, Patrick, you've covered a lot of territory on this subject matter. If there was one thing, or maybe one or two things, that really stood out, that surprised you, one way or t'other, surprised you in that it moved you towards thinking there's something here, or surprised you moving in the opposite direction, has there been any of those sort of moments?
Definitely. You know, Speaking earlier, right, when we spoke about like the David Grush, UFO hearing, the famous UFO hearing from July of 2023. Again, there's like government sort of let's find out what the government knows, right? Let's go find out what that is. That to me is just again just been sort of a disappointing ride, and I've again just felt more compelled by your average everyday person, right? So I used to think maybe those stories weren't as fruitful or compelling. Your neighbor who says I saw a UFO camping with my buddies one night or something, and I was saying okay, whatever. Oh, but this Top Gun pilot is saying he saw something flying in a thing, and now it's swapped. I've gone the other way. Now I find that my neighbor, who's a mechanic, who tells me he saw UFOs, way more compelling to me than some government official who I don't know what his reasons are for saying what he's saying, because they have to get approval to even say what they're saying. So it's just really hard to trust that. There's basically an extra filter you have to go through to try to get to the truth. And when you just talk with your average everyday person, you don't have that filter. And I've found that those stories to be far more authentic and compelling.
Is disinformation a real thing in this world?
Definitely. Absolutely. Every day, all day, the haystack is getting bigger and the needle is getting smaller. And it is becoming harder to discern what to sort of put your time and effort into. And that's where shows like mine come into play. I can help with that. I can help you with that, right? You work all day, you got all this stuff going on, you're taking care of family, but you're still interested in this, or maybe you've had an experience and you're trying to find more answers of what happened to you. You're not sure. That's where my show comes into play. And I try to help you do that, help you discern from some of this stuff that is a little fishy, is a little something's off, right? I try to help people critically think about some of this, because I would say disinformation far outweighs compelling information. To be honest, it's the pool of disinformation is far greater than the pool of credible information, and that's not an easy task to take upon yourself. So that's where shows like yours and mine come into play to help out.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that some of this disinformation is coming from reputable sources, from government agencies or such like.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. That's why I don't really like. I mean, I'm willing to hear any story,
Yeah.
even if I think the person's lying, because data is data, and you can get information from anything. But yeah, the disinformation is coming from people you find credible, and honestly, a lot of times they don't even know it's disinformation, right? They think it's credible information themselves, and that's an even trickier, situation to be in, right? Someone who thinks what they're saying is credible information
Yeah.
when it's not, as opposed to someone who knowingly is lying to you or deceiving you with information, is a little bit easier to spot. But when someone's authentic and you feel they're being truthful, right, it's really hard. What I try to do is separate the person from the claim and not focus on the person, because if the best evidence you have for someone telling the truth is, well, why would they lie? That can't be your best evidence for them, telling the truth,
Yeah.
because people lie all the time, all literally all the time. Everyone does. So, yeah, it's a man. It's not easy.
I wonder as well, I'm just thinking as you're speaking there, Patrick, that if we take Roswell as a kind of starting point for a lot of this in terms of government interaction with this, the initial statements from the Air Force saying something had happened and then quickly retracted, et cetera, et cetera. And that sort of set a template for
Yep.
many incidents thereafter. I sometimes wonder, though, that is the backstory, if this is all disinformation and all a bit of a smokescreen, that the story behind the smokescreen, the story behind the disinformation is almost as interesting as some of the sort of more outlandish claims at the forefront. Would you agree?
100%. I've always said that, actually, that no matter what the truth is about this, amazing. Like, it's exciting, right? If it's all a big psyop to cover up technology, that's a crazy story, right? That's also very interesting. And if there's aliens, I mean, that's clearly very interesting. So I think no matter what the truth is, it's fascinating. I will say this, based on what I've looked into and who I've talked to and all of this, I actually, the saying is the truth is somewhere in the middle. And if you've heard that before, I feel that about this. I do think I think there is some smoke, meaning there is some fire. I think there is some truth to some of these stories that are out there, because a lot of this stuff started way before America was ever a country or any countries. You're talking you go back millennia to talk about human beings experiencing something outside of themselves, or something extraordinary. So I do think, and it pierces every religion, culture, race, background, class, right? It's everywhere, everywhere. So I think there's something there, honestly. Just what is it?
What is it?
I don't know.
That's the question. Now I know recently, Patrick, because I was watching your channel, you've been on location, filming a new documentary that you're involved in. I get, is this can I call it a spin-off from Vetted, or is it something more substantial than that?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's Bedded's definitely a part of it. I would say it's something a little more substantial, just based on Glenn Barden, who's executive producing the film. With his background and what he's bringing to the table, it definitely launches it into another atmosphere. Like if it was just, little old Patrick editing this, I don't know how substantial this would be. But having Glenn involved and Sebastian and a lot of people make this happen, yeah, it's definitely a more substantial presentation um, than anything I've ever put out
Yep.
by far.
Yeah, I mean it's. I think Alamo Pictures are the people behind
Yeah,
it. So,
yeah.
are we allowed to know the title and the subject?
We don't have a title yet. We have a few working titles that we're kind of working on. I mean, we've just been calling it the Psionics Documentary. I'm sure Psionics will maybe be in the name. I don't know, to be honest with you. But the subject is just this. I There was a term called psionics. It's been very popular recently. Okay, and it basically, I heard a lot of different definitions about it, because I'm sure some of the viewers or listeners may be thinking, "Well, what is that? What does that mean?" Because maybe you've heard something about it. So it was such a popular thing. I thought, let's not just make any UFO documentary. Let's not just make anything. Let's really zero in on one particular aspect that we can really break down, because from that you'll tangentially cover other aspects of the UFO realm. But we wanted to be focused on this particular aspect called psionics, which is basically the idea that with your mind you can summon alien craft in the sky, what they might call orbs or something, and telepathically communicate with a non-human intelligence. And there's a lot of people who claim to have that ability. So that's what I set out to do. I made contact with many, many people, and traveled around and met with these people in person. And they took me out into the field to remote locations, deserts, and all kinds of mountains. I mean, I went everywhere, beaches, all over the place, to have them demonstrate their abilities right in front of me and see what this was about. And then along the way, I sat down and interviewed all kinds of people who are experts in the field of consciousness, the mind, ufology, simulation theory, all kinds of different things to sort of, explore this phenomena. But at the end of the day, the project was meant to be a mirror, an old school documentary, right? Old school, just a mirror, no agenda, just a mirror to reflect back what the subjects told me and what I experienced. So we're not setting out to prove anything or disprove anything. It's just a reflection back on the experiences we had looking into this specific phenomena of psionics.
Now, how you're describing it there, Patrick, it's very different from Vetted. Vetted is very
Definitely.
much a sort of news-driven agenda, straight to
Yeah.
camera. So this was, as you say, it's classic old-style documentary filmmaking. How did you find the shift in gears?
Yeah, that's a good question. To be honest with you, I come from working in real world situations with real people around me, and having made the transition to online sort of work and interaction, um, I was thirsty and very hungry for a real world experience about this, because it's very easy to sit on the couch and make assumptions, or have opinions about a lot of this, you know, big part of this topic. So it was really about getting out, boots on the ground, in the field, guerrilla style, filmmaking and really experience this from the first hand and find out what's going on. Because again, it's there is this vetted journey, but I also have my personal journey. I want to know what's going on. I want to know, are we alone on this planet or not? And I want to know if people who claim to have these insane abilities that would be so awesome, just like X-Men or something, I mean, it's literally straight out of like the comic books. Is this real? And there was only one way to find out: get out there and do it.
It almost sounds a little bit, Patrick, because I know in the last episode you talked about how, as a teenager, you were interested in the X-Files, and that maybe kicked off an interest in the subject matter. It's almost like a sort of wish fulfillment, isn't it? You've almost become that character. You're out,
Yeah.
you're investigating, your boots on the ground, you're meeting these characters. This is real life X-Files. Is that how it feels?
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly, when I went out to film, and because again, I traveled to like 6 different states. I traveled all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast, from California to Florida, filming everywhere in between, even filmed here in Spain as well. And it was more, yeah, just really getting out there, and it did feel like you just feel like you're doing something. It just feels so different from sitting behind my keyboard and editing and talking about stories and listening to them. This just really felt like getting out there, and I honestly didn't care about it. The journey changed. Initially, I was, UFOs and aliens. Okay, is this real? And then it became the relationships I was making with these people who genuinely believed in this phenomena and authenticity, and I really that became the joy and maybe even the whole point of it. It's the relationships you can build in this community as well with like-minded people, and that may be more fruitful than finding out the truth about this phenomena. To be honest with you, it's interesting.
It sounds absolutely fascinating. Do we have a timescale in terms of release dates, etc.?
We're still kind of working on it. Depending on when this comes out, it might already be out. We're shooting for somewhere around, the Christmas holidays. But this is my first time making something to this, level. And I just don't know. It's hard to put it. Right now, Glenn told me that we have a 6-hour cut of the film,
Wow.
so clearly we've got to narrow that down to something hour and a half to 2 hours, and because I shot hundreds of hours of footage. Yeah, it's crazy the amount of stuff we have. Which, by the way, all that stuff will eventually go on vetted
Yeah.
over the course of time. All these interviews and behind the scenes stuff and all these extra scenes that we didn't shoot. So hopefully by the holidays, Christmas holidays, it will be out. But if not, 100% early 2026.
Well, I look forward to hearing all about the premiere. Of course, you are in a sort of long line in terms of films about UFOs, documentaries about UFOs. I'm thinking of people like Leonard Nimoy, etc., from childhood back in the 70s. So this is very, very exciting. We haven't got very much time left, Patrick. I think it'd be remiss of me if I didn't ask, what are your sort of ambitions for Vetted at this point?
It's a good question. You know, I just want to see the community grow. I just want to see it. I just want to keep doing the same thing that I'm doing. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I like bringing people what's happening in the UFO community, the news, and I can just see that growing more and more. Clearly, I'd like to expand and do more of these long form projects with it. So I think that's really the goal: is to just build Vetted still the same way it is and keep it growing, because we'll get to 1 million subscribers. I won't stop till I do. I'm a very driven person and ambitious. So you got to set goals. And that's my goal, is to bring this to more people and inform more people about this topic, and mixing in these sort of long form projects where you can cover, like you said, it's just such a different aspect to what we do at Vetted. So I want to sort of, scratch all those different itches. And hopefully we get to do something in person too, which I know we're trying to plan. And I look forward to all of those things, to be honest.
Absolutely, Patrick. I look forward to Vetted coming to the UK, and there's plenty of UFO and ufology that can be explored in these islands. But for now, Patrick, tell people where they can find out more about you and about Vetted.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys, you can go to our website, vetted.show, SHOW. Find everything there, but you can also just go to YouTube and search Vetted. Just literally put in VETTED, and before you finish typing it, the channel will come up. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. I'm very active on Twitter in a much different way. So if you just want to hear my thoughts about different things, and you can find me on Twitter by searching Vetted as well.
For now, Patrick, thank you so much for coming on Things Visible and Invisible.
Thank you so much, Seán. Great questions, by the way. This was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Things Visible and Invisible. We're dedicated to uncovering phenomena that challenge our understanding of reality, from ancient enigmas and paranormal encounters to scientific anomalies and forgotten histories. If you enjoyed this journey into the mysterious and unexplained, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell to stay updated on future explorations. Have a personal experience or story that aligns with our investigations? We'd love to hear from you. Visit our website at tvi.show and reach out through our contact form. While we can't feature every submission, we review them all, and your story might be featured in an upcoming episode. To support our continued investigations, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter or channel member. Your contributions make these explorations possible and give you access to exclusive content, early releases, and monthly behind-the-scenes discussions with our team. Don't forget to check out our merch store. We've got everything from TVI-branded t-shirts and hoodies to stickers and coffee mugs, perfect for showing your support while keeping the mysteries close. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time as we continue to explore the things visible and invisible.